The armored Amazon is a term used to describe a woman who has developed a rigid persona of strength and control as a defense mechanism against underlying vulnerability, fear of inadequacy, and potential emotional pain. Far from being a simple character trait, the armored Amazon represents a profound psychological response to personal and cultural experiences, often rooted in the relationship with an absent, inadequate, or irresponsible father figure. Now, the armored Amazon's defensive posture manifests as an unconscious over-identification with masculine traits. While this may seem empowering on the surface, it ultimately hinders the individual from experiencing genuine fulfillment, intimacy, and creative expression. This archetype is not a monolith, but rather a spectrum of behaviors and attitudes that can manifest in various ways, each representing a distinct reaction to the devaluation of femininity and the challenges posed by inadequate paternal figures. Now, one of the most recognizable manifestations of the armored Amazon is the superstar. Driven by an insatiable hunger for external validation, the superstar seeks a sense of self-worth through achievements. Now, this woman often becomes a workaholic, prioritizing professional success over personal fulfillment. The superstar's relentless pursuit of accomplishments is frequently an attempt to overcompensate for a perceived lack in her father, striving to excel in areas where he may have struggled or been absent. To maintain her laser-like focus and avoid vulnerability, the superstar may develop emotional detachment, keeping others at arm's length and suppressing her own feelings. Now, the superstar grapples with a deep-seated fear of inadequacy stemming from a lack of paternal affirmation. This fear fuels her relentless pursuit of external validation, creating a vicious cycle of achievement and emptiness. The absence of a genuine model of femininity can lead the superstar to feel like an imposter, which further perpetuates her dependence on external validation. This manifestation is poignantly illustrated in literature, such as in Sylvia Plath's novel *The Bell Jar*, where the protagonist, Esther Greenwood, throws herself into academic and professional achievements to gain a sense of identity and worth, only to find herself feeling empty and depressed. Now, another manifestation of the armored Amazon is the dutiful daughter. This woman finds security and purpose in adhering to rules, fulfilling obligations, and meeting the expectations of authority figures. The dutiful daughter prioritizes control and order, often suppressing her own emotions, needs, and desires to maintain a facade of strength and composure. She leaves behind a carefully constructed persona, adhering to an idealized image of the good daughter that may not reflect her authentic self. Beneath her composed exterior, the dutiful daughter often harbors a fear of disappointing authority figures and a suppression of her own needs and desires. This pattern frequently originates from a childhood environment where emotional expression was stifled and obedience to rigid rules were paramount. The martyr represents yet another facet of the armored Amazon archetype. This woman finds a sense of purpose and moral superiority in sacrificing her own needs for others, often enduring difficult situations and relationships with stoic resignation. While appearing selfless, the martyr often harbors underlying resentment and seeks to control others through guilt and emotional manipulation. The martyr associates pleasure, spontaneity, and emotional expression with chaos and danger, leading to a suppression of joy and a rigid adherence to control. This pattern may develop in response to a mother who devalues the father, creating a dynamic where the daughter learns to associate masculinity with weakness and femininity with long-suffering servitude. Perhaps the most overtly masculine manifestation of the armored Amazon is the warrior queen. This woman openly rejects traditional femininity and embraces masculine traits of assertiveness, competition, and control. The warrior queen often views emotional expression, vulnerability, and dependence as weaknesses to be avoided, both in herself and others. So, driven by a need to combat perceived injustices, often stemming from experiences with her father or broader societal inequalities, the warrior queen adopts a combative stance, challenging authority and fighting for control. Her armor of strength and control often masks a deep well of unprocessed anger, grief, and a longing for authentic connection. So understanding these various manifestations of the armored Amazon provides a framework for recognizing these patterns in ourselves and others. However, recognition is only the first step on the path to transformation. The journey beyond the armor is not about abandoning strength or independence, but rather integrating these qualities with vulnerability, emotional depth, and a compassionate understanding of the feminine. The transformation process involves several key aspects. First, it requires acknowledging and accepting the shadow side of the armored Amazon persona, confronting the suppressed vulnerability, emotional needs, and fear of the irrational that the armor was built to conceal. This step often involves deep introspection and may benefit from professional therapeutic support. Second, the journey involves moving beyond the need for control and learning to embrace the spontaneity and uncertainty of life. Engaging in activities that encourage surrender and receptivity, such as meditation, creative arts, or spending time in nature, can facilitate this process. These practices help to cultivate a sense of trust in the flow of life and an openness to experiences beyond the rigid confines of the armored persona. Third, transformation requires redefining strength to include vulnerability, emotional depth, and the ability to connect authentically with oneself and others. This shift allows the armored Amazon to access a different kind of power, rooted in her authentic self rather than a reactive persona. It involves recognizing that true strength lies not in the absence of vulnerability, but in the courage to embrace it. Fourth, healing through relationships play a crucial role in the transformation process. Connecting with supportive and emotionally available individuals can help heal past wounds and challenge negative beliefs about relationships. This step often involves a willingness to risk vulnerability and to practice new ways of relating that allow for genuine intimacy and connection. Finally, the journey towards wholeness involves integrating masculine and feminine qualities, creating a more holistic and authentic sense of self. This integration acknowledges and values strength, competence, and drive, while also embracing vulnerability, emotional depth, and capacity for connection. It's about finding a balance that allows for a full expression of one's multifaceted nature. So by understanding and transforming the armored Amazon archetype, women can break free from defensive patterns and embrace a more authentic, fulfilling way of being in the world. This journey requires courage, self-compassion, and a willingness to confront the shadows of the past, but it ultimately leads to a greater sense of wholeness, creativity, and connection. In doing so, women not only transform their own lives, but also contribute to a broader cultural shift towards a more balanced and integrated understanding of strength, femininity, and human potential.